All right, let's turn to this now. The South African Local Government Association says various departments owe KwaZulu-Natal municipalities over 3 billion rands. Their health, education and public works ministries have been identified as the main culprits. KwaZulu-Natal Salga chairperson Thami Ntuli joins us now for more on that story. Mpemba, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. Now, it was already raised by the IFP, by the way, in March to the Treasury at national level, this question of how much is owed to municipalities by the various departments at national, provincial entities and other institutions. Treasury says national owes 8 billion rands, provinces across the board 9.7 billion, and other entities 4 billion or so. A jump if you look at it, because in 2017, that amount was sitting at 9.3 billion. Now in 2023, sitting at close to 22 billion rands. What is this telling us? Is government just bad at paying its debt?
Yeah, in fact, it's not a good story to tell when it comes to the government departments that are owing local government or the municipalities, which is exacerbating the problem of the failure by municipalities to provide services that people have been waiting for since the dawn of democracy. And even for the culture of being a good citizen for the ratepayers is not in fact receiving any leadership from the government departments when they are the ones who are expected to be supporting municipalities to be able to render services which are quite very important, such as the issue of the aging infrastructure, that you know that the people are complaining about not receiving water on regular basis, not only mentioning the issue of load shedding, which may be a problem, but even to be supplied with electricity. Municipalities are buying electricity from Eskom.
Yeah.
So when they then service the government departments with the very same electricity, how are they going to pay for what they've in fact bought from Eskom if the government departments are not paying? And even for the water, they buy the water from the water boards. The skyrocketing tariffs that we complained about. At the same time, you find that they supply the water to the government departments and the government departments are not paying. It is going to, in the future, make municipalities, in fact, to fail to sustain the supply of the services if the government departments, they continue with the attitude of not honoring the debts, which are now in the province of KwaZulu-Natal alone, is sitting at more than 3 billion.
So what is it largely that they are owing? I mean, you've got rates and services, which could constitute water, sanitation, electricity, which you've already mentioned, refuse, rental payments and traffic funds. Where exactly are they owing a bulk of that, if you look at the education, health and public works department?
For the rates and also for the water that is supplied to the government departments, even for the electricity. Just a classical case in Kandla, a local municipality. The Department of Higher Education and Training is owing the municipality more than 10 million for electricity. As a result, instead of paying for that debt, they decided to use a generator and spend a lot of money on the diesel instead of paying daily for the electricity as supplied by the municipality. It's an attitude, in fact, other than other issues which we think needs to be corrected, that government departments, they really must support honestly the municipalities so that they will sustain the services that they are rendering to the people. They are at the coalface of everything in the society. That is where you find people That is where people expect to actually receive most of the daily services.
Yes.
You recall that even the report of the Human Rights Commission painted a picture which is quite not good in terms of the water supply. How are we going to address the things that were reflected by the Human Rights Commission if then the capacity for the municipalities to correct or to render those services are actually incapacitated by the government's department not honoring their debts?
Yes.
That is, in fact, a cause for concern to us as Salga, and it's a call that we have directly, in fact, communicated with the leadership of the provincial government, and there was a commitment by the former premier and also the MEC for culture that they are addressing the issue of the departments that are not honoring the debts, of which we are not seeing much of a progress. And the people on the ground are suffering because when the municipalities really are in this stage, you will find that there will be too much gaps in terms of providing the services to the people.
What are the possible reasons for this escalating debt? Because, I mean, if you were to ask general consumers, they'll tell you it's economic downturn, unaffordability due to low incomes or loss of income, COVID-19, economy is not growing. Maybe others will tell you, like if you ask folks in Verulam, they'll say, no, they're dissatisfied with the service delivery, so they're withholding paying for their debt. But I doubt that would be the reasons that would be sufficient for departments. What are they complaining about? Are there any disputes of the municipal bills, for example?
We are not aware of any disputes, except that there are inefficiencies. Because when municipalities, they directly go to the departments, after some delays, they will end up getting something from the departments. We don't have a reason, like I cited a classical example that at times we will end up thinking that maybe local government is not giving a due consideration when it comes to the necessitated support and the expectations that are really supposed to be honored.
So let me give you an answer from Treasury. Treasury, when asked this question, says that, well, a high-level analysis shows that, one, there is poor enforcement of credit controls and debt management policy. So saying there are poor strategies in place at municipalities for collecting the debt. And Treasury says, I don't understand why, because you have bylaws and other PFMA and MFMA policies in place that allow you to recover this money. For example, terminate or restrict services.
You see, municipalities are providing the government departments with the statements of what they owe on regular basis. There is nothing more than that could be thought to be a measure of the credit control, except that the call we made that necessitated the engagement with the provincial government in the past was that the municipalities must consider switching off the services so that they will understand that the services they are receiving, they have been bought somewhere, like I've made an example of water and electricity, that they are buying water from the water boards and also from Eskom. And then for them to enjoy those services, they must pay for those services. So I don't think really it could be thought that on the side of the government departments, there could be something maybe that can be related to the poor credit control measures by local government.
And why have they avoided to use that legislative power that they have if, for example, departments fail to meet the time frame as set out for government departments to take care and settle their accounts in 30 days? Is this related to some kind of intergovernmental relationships that they have?
The approach by local government is not an approach that is bringing measures that will interfere with the services that in a manner that will even impact on the people who are enjoying those services. For an example, when you talk about the school, when you decide to switch off water supply, that will mean the school will have to close because the flushing toilets will never be operational. Then for that reason, the municipalities, they will keep on negotiating, driving to the office, government department offices, head office in the province on numerous occasions, emails on numerous occasions, but we still are seated with more than 3 billion debts. I think the leadership of these departments really is not showing a will to really attend to this, because everyone is aware of the situation, but little is done to resolve the situation.
Yeah. Is that lack of will a political decision, you think?
I think it's a lack of will, because we believe when the leadership of the government departments got to know that there is this problem, they should have given an instruction that it must be stopped. It's a conduct which is not good, which is not sending a good message to the ordinary citizens. You see, the municipalities are under severe pressures which are caused by the issues of our economy, which is weak, the issues of load shedding were coming from the floods, were coming from the COVID, and now they are spending more than what they budgeted on diesel because of the load shedding, though it's for the few days we are not seeing it, but we have been living with it for a very long time. And then on top of the interest hikes on the loans from the banks, on top of the tariff hikes on the water boards, who are making a lot of profit, which cannot be made by municipalities when they supply water to the indigents, especially in rural and township areas. You find then that they are owed more than 3 billion. It is crippling the municipalities, not just offices of local government, but the services to the people are impacted negatively.
Yeah.
When the capacity of a municipality is incapacitated by the government's failure to pay for the debts.
So you said engagements have ensued, as you mentioned, with the Cocktail MEC, even with the Premier. By the way, we did reach out to the KZN department or government, and the Premier will make herself available. It might not be on this show. It will certainly be on the other shows, maybe tomorrow, to respond to this. But you're saying engagements with the municipalities have ensued, but there is no difference. Now, municipalities, on the other hand, because of the reasons that you have mentioned, are also owing other government departments, including Eskom and water boards. And these institutions are at a point where they are saying they want to declare an intergovernmental dispute. Are we at that point, even as Salga, are you looking at the fact that an intergovernmental dispute needs to be lodged?
Well, I'm not quite sure whether there is a need for that, because for the Eskom debts, there is an agreement with the National Treasurer for the municipalities to actually, and Eskom to have some kind of bailouts for those that are able to prove without reasonable doubts that they qualify for the bailouts. There are some measures, but even that spirit by both the water boards and Eskom is caused by what one is mentioning, by the failure of the government departments to honor the debts to the municipalities.
Pemba, we appreciate your time and thank you very much for coming on and the issues that you raised. Maybe before we let you go, let me touch on one issue that you have also raised, the issue of double parking. You're saying you're intent on I suppose, more engagements with Labour on this particular question. What's your rationale? What's your view on how this should be handled? For example, we were talking the Bella Bill yesterday, where it's also emphasizing that teachers who are also public servants should not be doing business, for example, with the state. And other teachers are saying, well, we don't earn enough, so we need to have some kind of a side hustle. You are now raising an issue of local government workers banned from holding political office.
Yeah, on that one, in fact, as Salga and the KwaZulu-Natal, we have been calling for the professionalization and depolitization of local government. We understand that we are coming from the background of cadre deployment that have caused municipalities to have some of the officials being not qualified for the work that they do, which directly impacts on the service delivery. Hence, then we said it was important for the employees not to hold a political office or be leaders in political parties, because you'll find that a person will be a regional secretary who will make a decision about the deployment of a mayor, a deputy mayor, or the speaker. When then that person is also employed in the very same municipality, when they try to discipline that individual on the wrongdoings, after a work, we'll call the mayor to a regional meeting to account, and even threaten to expel that particular mayor. So we have a view that the employees should be in a position of being employees, not being employees at the same time being the politicians. We're not saying they don't have a right to participate politically or non-political activities, but being in leadership is something else. I know that there is a court judgment which, in fact, endorsed that they may indeed double park. That is why we are saying at Salga, we are canvassing SAMU and IMATU, the workers' unions, on the subject, so that we find a way that even if it's so, it happens in a manner that will not affect service delivery, that will not affect the viability of municipalities.
Mpemba, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. That's the Salga chairperson in KwaZulu-Natal, Thami Ntuli there. More news after the break. Stay with us.